What is up, folks? Casual Dad here. I just wrapped my recording of the Commissar Yarrick deck building video, and I wanted to do another one that, again, was actually requested, which I really enjoy getting requests from people who are actually watching the videos. So please don't hesitate at all to reach out if there's anything you want to see me break down, just want to hear more about, just want to hear me talk to myself. Totally fine. Whatever works. We did Commissar Yarrick, and I'm going to go ahead and touch on Zimat Haya. Haya. A really, really interesting warlord, Genestealer Cults, Tyranid, and one of the only Tyranid warlords who's got a ranged focused ability. So just to break down the ability, really good ranged attack here. Epic, so does level fairly slowly, but comes out of the gate with one of the strongest ranged abilities out there, which is Deadshot. Now this is target acquired, so all guns will shoot the target of your Deadshot, but it is unique to Zimat, and now it's the secondary trait of Artemis, the Space Marine, but it's one of the rare cases that let you deal with a Headhunter Warlord without going toe-to-toe with them with another punchy Warlord. So what this does is it just means that all of your living bodyguards on the board and your Warlord target the opposing Warlord. So if you have like a Riptide on the wings or something with shields and fear on the side that's keeping you from getting to the Warlord, this is a way to counteract that and just go straight for the throat, which makes Zimat just a really interesting character to play with. And you can see she's got a very high ranged attack, comes in with precision shot if you get to level 9 or higher, but this just is an excellent toolkit. And then her ability is the first time a friendly Tyranid card makes a ranged attack, it deals an additional 75% damage. And you read that and you're like, all right, whatever. But then when you actually see it in practice, it is hard to overstate the impact of that attack. It is super hard hitting. It's not quite, but roughly you can sort of math it out as about double damage when you're expecting what's going to hit how much. It does stack with Inspire, it stacks with Target Acquired. It is not eliminated with Precision Shot, so you can put down a Precision Shot card that will then shoot with the boosted shot later. It is super powerful. The downside is, it is a single trigger, so you may find that your Zimat decks run out of firepower fairly quickly, and they're particularly bad against Captain Akaran. So like Akaran's second death, like you can hit 300 damage on a 5 health card, it'll still come right back and you have to hit it again, and then may just not have the juice to really get through it. So you want to watch for that. That is something to keep in mind when building these decks. But really it should be pretty straightforward. Zimat is on the cheaper end of Warlords, so you can really, and particularly Tyranids, she's by a mile the cheapest Tyranid Warlord. So you can ignore that ability or treat it as gravy and just pack in all of your scariest monsters in here. If you ever wanted to run a deck that's just your really, really big Griblies, you could do a Zimat deck where you just pack the most in there. And some of them have ranged attacks. Excuse me. So it's not the worst thing in the world to actually go ahead and do that. But this is a pretty standard deck that I put together based on some feedback from the Discord and also from some playtesting myself. The real kind of key pieces in here are your really hard heavy hitters. This one, of course, has both a really high base ranged attack, so it also hits incredibly hard at range, has a bunch of hit points, does some melee damage, and has the shield for a lot of staying power. So it really helps kind of shore up the weaknesses of the deck being a little bit squishy, and kind of spraying bullets and then maybe running out of ammo before the fight is over. This one is another really key piece, especially as you get to higher levels. I mentioned that Precision Shot doesn't remove the ranged bonus, so this will Precision Shot for a bunch of damage and then follow up with another hit with the actual Zimat bonus. So you can clear those injured cards or soften things up and really, really kind of hammer home those hits. So this is a great card. Also has a very good melee attack if you want to lean on that or need that for defense, but has a pretty high cost relative to hit points. So this is one that is a bit of a glass cannon. This one is somewhere in between. Not quite as cannony as the flyer, but not quite as durable as the shield piece, but cheaper than both, and stands in the middle and has that ranged ready and outflank. So this is all about momentum, all about devastating damage very quickly. Of course, you've got your target acquired to help kind of be strategic about what you remove when. You've got your Medicae to help heal up these cards and keep them on the board longer. You've got a little barrage in here just to fill points. You've got this Inspire just to help sort of nudge those up and fill up the points. And he also hits pretty hard. You're looking at hitting for about 50 damage with Zimat's bonus and then also with his own Inspire. And then lastly, we have one of the secret sauce pieces of Zimat is the Gargoyle. So Zimat's ability is when a copy of a card is deployed. So if this is if this shoots and then is killed, the backup copy has the bonus again. So it shoots for, I think, what is that, 70 damage twice for a 5-point card. So it is no joke. Assuming you get both range shots off and it doesn't just die, but it can hit incredibly hard for those 5 points. Some other things to consider, you can kind of, again, make this a little bit more of a hybrid deck, where it has the range bonus but doesn't necessarily require that or has other options. And some real top tier choices for that would be, of course, the Carnifex. It has somewhat middling attack stats, which are helped by Zeemut, has a high melee and a lot of hit points to really kind of help balance this out. Also comes in at a pricey cost point, so it's not one you're going to see all that often with other Warlords, just because it's so expensive. Another one, of course, being some of the newer cards. This one actually has a fairly low ranged attack, even as you level it up, but a really scary melee attack, ton of hit points for the cost, and also has a nasty, has Barrage. So the combination of Barrage and Berserk really makes this a scary customer to deal with. Can be a great piece in a Zeemut deck, but mine is just too low, because it just came out. Some other contenders, of course, are this guy. Oof, man, I really want to get this to high level, because that combination of Fear, Barrage, and the high ranged attack is fantastic. If you have it at high level, this is a never leave home without card. This is one you squeeze into the deck if at all possible. It's got all the benefits you want. It's got just like the perfect card for a Zeemut deck and a great like linchpin piece. And then as we go up a bit, there's some other contenders. I don't think he has a ranged attack. He does not. This one is not one you would necessarily include. There's the ranged attack is so low, but the cost of hit points and the melee and the inclusion of poison is very good. Likewise, this guy is much more kind of mainstay. I tend to avoid these guys because they're good, but their attacks are fairly low. For the cost for the ranged attack you get, you can shuffle things around to put much harder hitting cards in there. I just don't use these guys, the warriors, this guy in particular. But that poison one even, he's better in pure melee decks. This one is definitely one to consider, because for the cost he does crazy amounts of damage, and is a really good piece to include in there just to have your big game hunter. Because in combination of big game hunter, inspire, target acquired, like you can really stack the bonuses on this thing to take down like a 400 hit point card in one volley. So like inspire, big game hunter, Zeemut's ability, all tied up together. Target acquired, you're looking at like a 300% damage bonus or something insane. I didn't do the actual math on that, don't quote me. But it's really good, and those bonuses do stack for a really devastating hit. You'd be surprised how much damage ends up coming out of there. Obviously more Barrage is good. And he was recently upped in price, but the Black Lance is still a really solid piece because he's got that poison, especially if you have him level 9 or above where you can do that precision shot to apply poison before shooting. Super good. Really great card. I really love to use this one. I'm really excited to get him those 2 extra copies to get him up to level 9. Can't wait. And then you've got some cheaper cards that you can include. I tend to avoid them just because they are good, but they're so squishy in a deck that already has a little bit of trouble with staying power that I tend to shy away from them. But if you have some really big, heavy-hitting bruisers in there and you just need to fill up the points, some of these 5 and 6 point cards are definitely worth considering. This guy in particular, and then of course Chirda, a little buddy here, can attack a bunch of times, so can end up clearing up some chaff and then also doing a decent amount of range damage for those 6 points. But alright, I've been talking too much. Let's go ahead and see the deck in play. Let's see if I can win one. Tyranids are tricky. They're my favorite faction. I really enjoy playing with them. This battle pass right now is Tyranid themed. Ooh, another Tyranid / not. A lot of different factions going on there. This is actually a really excellent matchup, sort of. So it's good because Mozrog relies on building up a bunch of health and does not love it when an opponent is able to burst through that health. But it's kind of a bad matchup because it appears to be a full deck. And if I can't chew through these cards fast enough, then he will... Oh, well, that's a good start. Yeah, so you saw that precision shot go off, and then we're going to do that target acquired. Man, this run's nice. I haven't used this on computer since the last patch, and it's great. So we got 135. It does not actually show you... Wow. So only 2 of my 3 cards even shot. You'll see that pink halo shows that this one still has the bonus damage shot. But you saw that a card with a 79 base damage did 241 damage because of the combination of Zeemut's ability and target acquired. That was, and of course the readies from this guy right here. But I just one-shot a Death Dread, which is no joke. And that's only my first 3 cards. I still have a lot more in the deck to really like hammer home the ability here. And there you saw that 100 damage. So 57 plus 75% with a little ready is about double, just a little under. But it's always a little bit more than I estimated in my head, which is kind of great, very satisfying. So this should be an easy win, and not maybe the most strategic game you could ever see, but you can really see just how bursty Zemet is and just how powerful she can be. Okay. Let's see if I can. I'm about to lose so the gargoyles will comfortably kill this thing even with the melee buff, but we'll double check that because I want to go ahead and see them do their thing. It's been a while since I played Zemet, so I'm unsure of how high that margin is going to end up being, so we can cheese it a bit, but I don't want to. We'll go ahead and do this just to do the worst move, just to kind of test this and see what kind of damage that gargoyle does. 0 buff, just the bonus shot, nothing else. 40 becomes, what, 76? No, 70. Okay, so not quite enough to kill him, but really hits hard for a 5-point card. And should comfortably finish off the 20-some-odd health he's about to get. Yeah, 14. But we are pumping up Mozrog. I'm lucky here that he's only level 3, so this is a pretty straightforward matchup. But even that is going to build up. But yeah, so not a close game. But yeah, you can really see just the absurd range damage that this can put out very quickly, but then also you do see, even in a fairly easy matchup, I am losing cards quite quickly. And that was even after removing some really powerful ones in the first volley without taking any damage. This guy's going to do around 160, which you can't see because I killed him already. So that is a Zemet deck in practice. This one is a little bit more straightforward, so we've seen Zemet play. So and the ability is very specifically range damage. It doesn't apply to other attack types, so you can't customize this one quite as much as you can Yarrick. Again, you can do the full-on melee deck where you just surprise people by swinging hard at them with a bunch of Gribblies. But you sacrifice the bonus of having a melee-centric ability and a melee-centric warlord in exchange for a gimmick, packing a bunch of powerful cards in there, and just having a good time. It'll certainly catch people off guard in the PvP matches, but maybe not enough to win. I'm really excited to run this guy. But yeah, again, so this is... Let me look back on that again. This is going to be your sort of standard quote-unquote deck. These are all cards you're going to see in Zemet decks a lot because they combine really, really well both to shore up some weaknesses and really supercharge those strengths. And then again, some of those new cards are really good additions to keep an eye on as you find more copies, with the #1 best thing I could possibly add being this guy. Just that combination of stats, fear, and barrage is so good, and at that price point it's just absolutely devastating. This is a card I wouldn't be surprised to see dialed back a bit once more players have a higher level of it. You're going to see most people rolling around level 4 or 5 at this point, if they even have it. And it really doesn't become scary in a Zemet deck until you get at least to level 6, and then really, really scary closer to 10 or 11. So, something to watch out for. Great card to include when you get the chance, but not worth putting in this early when you can have an alternative like the Crone. Hive Crone. But yeah, hope that was helpful. And again, if you do have any requests, if there's anything in particular you want to see, sing out any time. I love to hear requests, and I love to talk about the game. Until next time.